Hey guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. We are about to interview the founder of Duolingo. Oh. Oh, no. No, Duo, not you. No. Do we have the actual founder?
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
Your
Hi.
employees are getting a little creative.
We pay that guy and he has his own personality. He just does what he wants.
AI is not going to take your job. Somebody using AI is going to take your job.
This is Luis von Ahn, CEO of Duolingo. Recently, 2 of his employees built a chess course with AI in 6 months. No engineering background, no knowledge of the subject. It became the fastest growing course in the company. There are a lot of rumors that large companies firing people. They say it's AI.
We have never done a layoff. Despite what the internet may think, it is important to continue hiring people because a single employee is just way more productive now than they used to be.
I'm gonna name 5 professions and you're gonna make some predictions. Gone in 5 years or not going anywhere?
There will be fewer and fewer.
Luis, you told your team that nobody gets hired unless team proves AI can do the work first. Can you tell me how you actually track that as a founder?
Our goal here is to use AI to benefit our users. Internally, we have this golden rule. We're only going to use AI to benefit our learners. Some people may imagine that, some companies may be firing people and having AI do their job. That's not what we're doing whatsoever. Our team has gotten significantly better at using AI over the last, couple of years. And that has allowed us to do a lot more. It has allowed us to put out a lot more content, a lot more learning content, etc. We, as a management team, are not necessarily tracking like, oh, are you doing something that AI can do or not? We're just really trying to tell everyone, try to be as efficient as possible with AI, and our employees are doing that.
And can you give me some of the best examples from the team for someone who's watching this and they're like, okay, my manager tells me to start using AI, but I have no idea how to do it. Do you have best case examples?
It depends on what your job role is. I think most of our engineers have basically really changed their workflows. They're using AI coding tools. A lot of our product managers, what they've decided to do is using AI to make prototypes of things. So the product manager may not be implementing the thing in the full production app, but rather than coming to us with a written document, they come with a prototype now. That's way better because it allows for much better decision making. So if somebody comes to me with a written proposal and says, I'm going to do a way to teach Spanish better, it's hard for me to know what that actually means. But if they just show me the prototype and I can see that it really does seem to teach Spanish better, it's much easier to give approval to that type of thing. So it depends a lot in the role.
Do you give them any guidance? Like, okay, instead of doing this, do that next time? Or how do they even find out they can do these things with AI?
We try to do some things in the whole company to try to, we had, for example, a few months ago, we had a day where everybody in the company had to vibe code something, not just engineers, every single person, people from, HR, people from the finance team, everybody had to vibe code something. So everybody could see the power of it. We also have a lot of documentation about best practices. But generally, people here in Duolingo are pretty smart. They're always finding new things. And I think what happens is rather than management telling them what to do, they tell each other what to do. We have a lot of Slack channels that, one of them is called Best AI Practices. And so people are just saying stuff. We also have another one that's called AI Fails, which is all the things that
That's
people try.
That's such a great one.
It is an incredible thing, very empowering for people to oh my God, I made, usually they're very small apps, but it's like I made an app. One of the things that has happened inside this company is everybody has made their own dashboard.
For their KPIs or something?
Yeah, for whatever it is they're tracking. I mean, I see a few product managers that have vibe coded a whole thing with our users in every country and what they're doing.
That's super impressive. And is that how you track AI proficiency? Because now it's part of performance reviews, right, at Duolingo?
For a while, it was part of performance reviews. We decided not to do that, and I'll tell you why. I sent a memo to the company that said, part of your performance review is going to be usage of AI. And we found that people were, I don't know if they were doing that, but they were kind of asking, do you just want us to use AI for AI's sake? And at the end, we backtracked and we said, no, look, the most important thing in your performance is that you are doing, whatever your job is as well as possible. A lot of times AI can help you with that. But if it can't, I'm not going to force you to do that. So I think we backtracked from that because it felt like rather than being held accountable for the actual outcome, we're trying to just push something that in some cases did not fit.
And do you have a specific example where somebody did something in a week without AI, and then with AI, they kind of multiplied the output?
We now teach chess on Duolingo. So, for a long time, we only taught languages. Now we teach a few other things. Chess is the latest course we added. This course got started by two people, neither of whom knew chess, neither of whom knew how to program. They basically vibe coded the first prototype of it. Now, the final version that is actually in the app, of course, we put some engineers in there, etc. But they really got very far. In a span of about 6 months, they created the whole curriculum for chess. They created a prototype of the app, all entirely with AI. And again, these people did not know any chess.
And whose idea was that? Was it their idea?
It was their idea to do that. They're the ones who wanted to add chess. By the way, they came to me a year earlier to say, we want to add chess. I said, I don't want to add chess. Because it's just a game and we're an education app. But what happened was that a few months later, I talked to the Minister of Education of my country. I'm from Guatemala. And she said to me, our education system, our public education system in Guatemala is so broken that I'm considering sending every student a chessboard so that at least they'll learn logical thinking. Mm-hmm. And when she said that to me, I thought, oh, wow, okay, this is actually
part
useful.
of education.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then this is when I told them, okay, you can add the chess course. But I said to them, but I don't have any engineers to give you, so go ahead. And they figured it out.
6 months, right?
About 6 months, yeah.
And now it's your fastest growing course?
Yeah. At this point, we have 7 million daily active users that are learning chess.
Wow, this is fascinating. Can you tell me step by step, what was their process? So if somebody's watching and they're like, wow, if Duolingo is able to do such a spin-off, which is kind of different from languages. Mm-hmm. If I want to start something with AI and build a fast-growing product, what are the 5 steps they need to take?
These two guys, the first thing they did was probably learn chess, probably because they didn't know any chess. And that's one of the reasons they wanted to add it, because they themselves wanted to learn chess. But after that, what they did is they really started looking at, kind of the different tools that are out there for learning chess. That they're basically doing market research, try to figure out what's out there for learning chess. They found that really what was out there was not all that great. And then they decided to start vibe coding something. To be fair, this person does have some technical knowledge. They're not an engineer, but they have some technical knowledge. And so they downloaded Cursor. And at first they made just chess puzzles. Then they realized that the AI was not very good at making chess puzzles. So then they decided to train it with there's an online database of a lot of different chess puzzles. So they trained the AI with that, and it got a lot better. And then after that, what they started doing was just more and more mobile prototypes for me to play with until I told them that it was kind of good enough to really put it in the app.
And then you put it in the app, and then did you give it an external push, or people just started discovering it? And
by putting it in the app, very quickly, a lot of people came. But chess really has a big draw. We put other courses in the app that have not grown as much. For example, it turns out chess is more fun than math.
So a student who just heard about your chess course that was spun out so quickly, and they want to start building something with AI today, what advice would you give them?
Well, the biggest advice I can give them is to start. A lot of people talk a lot about starting. They're like, oh, I have an idea, but biggest thing is just sit down and do it. You will learn a lot by just trying to do it. So that's the biggest thing. Other than that, try to learn how some of the best tools work. Certainly vibe coding will help you a lot, but it's not just vibe coding. Trying to make, the initial designs for it. Now you can have AI tools to make the initial screens and everything. So use it all and try to make the thing. I haven't quite yet seen somebody who knows nothing about programming to really make a good app, but I have seen people who know a little bit about programming make apps. So I would tell you it's still worthwhile learning kind of the structure of programs. That seems important. So even though you may not actually need to program like word by word, just knowing how things work. For example, knowing the difference between the server and the client, like just these very basic things. I think that's important.
Did it give you more ideas to add more courses that are non-language related?
Yeah, it's given us a lot of ideas. We are not yet working on other stuff, but we have a long list of things that we want to teach all kinds of things. K through 12 science, we want to teach. Again, we're not yet working on that. We want to teach K through 12 science. We want to teach how to draw. There's all kinds of things, but at the moment, we're not really working on them because we want to continue working on chess, math, music, and languages.
Got it. But then any employee can just go and vibe code one of these courses and show you, and maybe they
Yeah, that's
make it
what
to
I
the
tell
app.
the company, by the way. A lot of times people come to me and they're like, what course are you going to add next? And one of the things I tell them is, I wanted to add K through 12 science, and then we added math. I wanted to add K through 12 science, and then we added music. I wanted to add K through 12 science, and then we added chess. At this point, I also want to add K through 12 science, but it turns out that what people do here is somebody comes up with a really good idea, and if it's good and they're passionate about it, we let them do it.
Then yeah, they do it. Let's go back to the AI failure chat. Can you recall any examples of AI actually failing in a task?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things where it's failing. I'll tell you the biggest one, which I think we're starting to see a difference here, but it wasn't the case a year ago. If you were to look at Twitter, and just read what people are saying on Twitter. 2 years ago, I should have fired all our engineers because on Twitter, they're like, AI is better at coding than engineers. This is kind of, for the last 2 years, this is what they've been saying on Twitter. And it was an interesting thing because I would come here and I would not really see a speed up on engineering. And I'm like, well, what's the disconnect?
Yeah.
Why, there's all these people saying that AI is better at coding than humans. And the reality is it's not yet the case that AI is better at coding than humans. I think you still really need engineers and you're going to need them for a long time, I think. But we've just seen a lot of cases where, you tell the AI to program something and sometimes it works, but the other, I don't know what fraction of the time it doesn't work. But when it doesn't work, there's a real problem in that because you don't really know what it did, it's really hard to debug it. And that's kind of what has happened, that you get into the happy path is really fast. Okay, it worked. But the unhappy path makes it so that it takes so long that you end up spending more effort on that than the time you saved on the other thing. So we've seen that quite a bit. We've also seen AI not be able to generate things like narrative, like stories. Sometimes it does a good job, sometimes it doesn't do a great job, and it just comes up with things that don't make any sense. It's interesting because when you see a demo and you ask it to come up with a story, somehow those demos always look amazing. But then when you try to come up with 100 stories, you realize that only like 30 are good and the other 70 are
So humans still need
nonsensical.
to check and select.
Oh, check. Yeah. All our content needs to be there. There's a lot of steps to try to either check it or spot check it or something to make sure that the quality is high.
So if we compare today and a year ago, how much more productive the company is with AI?
I don't know. It's more in pockets. And I don't know if any larger company that has seen like a 10x speed up in like...
I don't think so. I think startups really see it because when you're a one-person team, then you can orchestrate.
One person can do a lot of stuff. With a larger company, it's harder. It just turns out, for example, most engineers don't spend 8 hours a day coding. They have to go to meetings. They have to... So there's a part of it that you just cannot speed up. Then there's the part that they spend coding. Okay, maybe you can speed that up, but you cannot speed it up, at least at the moment, you cannot speed it up by 1,000x. You can just maybe, I don't know, a little faster.
Yeah.
So overall, we're not seeing like we're putting out 10 times as many features. We're not. We're seeing some speed ups here and there in different pockets of the company. But again, it's what you said. One-person companies are a lot faster, but it's because you don't have to interface with all the other parts of the company, etc. Also, AI is not as good with existing code bases rather than with a brand new code base.
We've been talking a lot about how AI is changing the way people learn and retain information. And that got me thinking about something I changed in how I organize my own daily life and work. Someone told me once, if you're not capturing everything that happens in your calls with your team, you're actually losing to other companies. You're losing decisions that were made. You're losing context that gets dropped, things you committed to, and then you just forgot. Team syncs, strategy sessions, call with investors, even a quick conversation with a contractor, it all disappears the moment the call ends. And I don't know about you, but I'm on calls every single day. Sometimes I forget to press record. Sometimes I don't think the conversation is worth recording, but then after the conversation, I realize I had to actually record that. A lot of my friends told me, Marina, you should start using Granola. You'll be blown away. And now I use it on every single call. Now it is an AI notepad for meetings, but it's not a bot that joins your Zoom and makes everyone uncomfortable. It transcribes your computer's audio in the background while you stay completely present in the conversation. It listens to every call automatically. And if it's a recurring call, it merges them by folders. So by the time the meeting ends, you have clean structured notes ready to go. And after the call, I chat with my notes. I'm like, okay, we just had this conversation. Can you create a follow-up email that I'm going to send to Monica, my manager? We're going to proceed with this, this, and that. Creates the email and I just send it. takes 15 seconds. It works across Zoom, Google Meet, and Teams. It's one of those tools I genuinely can't work without anymore. And I don't think you'll be able to either once you try it. Try it on your very first meeting after this episode. Head to granola.ai/Marina to get 3 months of granola for free or enter the code Marina at checkout. I left a link in the description. And now, back to my conversation with Luis. What about you as a founder? Does AI help you make decisions or any workflows that work for you?
Research, sure. It used to be the case that whenever I had something that needed to be researched, like, I don't know, what is the chess landscape in India, for example? It used to be the case that I needed to either spend a lot of time myself or get a team of people to help me, whereas now I can get a pretty good idea by just asking Gemini or something like that. So research I do a lot more by myself. That has helped me. But ultimately, the decisions are made by me. It's not like I asked the computer, what would you decide?
Okay.
I haven't.
So you don't use it as a coach or you haven't vibe coded your own KPIs or whatever?
I've done a bunch of vibe coding for things, but yeah, certainly my KPIs, but it's not decisions I still make myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I interview a lot of cool people on this podcast. In the past 3 weeks, I had Reid Hoffman and Bill Gurley, who are legendary investors. And I asked them a question, what is the first market that's going to be completely changed by AI and market you should be looking at? And they told me language.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's been my thing for 10 years. What do you think?
I don't know what that means, change. So
like you don't have to learn a language because everything is translated.
Oh, no, I just don't buy that. If you look at our users, we have more than 100 million active users. Half of them are learning as a hobby. It's a hobby. Whether AI can do it or not, it's a hobby. Actually, chess is a great example. Computers have been better at chess than humans since 1997. A lot more people are learning chess today than they were in 1997. It's a hobby. So for half of our learners, it's a hobby, and I don't think whether computers can do it or not, I don't think it'll matter. The other half are learning English. And I think anybody who tells you that people don't want to learn a language has not had to learn English.
It's interesting how you say like 50% they're probably learning other languages, hobby.
Yes.
English, necessity.
Yes,
right?
But that's how it is in the world.
Yeah.
Like, if you're learning, I'm sure I'm generalizing here, but generally, if you're learning French, it's a hobby. It's not always true. I'm sure there are people who actually need to move to France, but it's a small fraction. The majority of people in the world that are learning French, want to feel cool when they go to Paris so they can order a croissant. And that's our users. And again, somebody who's lived their entire life in the US has never had to learn English because that's their native language, etc., will say something like, well, languages are unnecessary, etc. But somebody who's had to learn English, it's a different thing. You just need to learn English. And you may want to move to an English-speaking country. You may need to do an educational, like you may need to go to a university. Nobody's going to be allowing you to go to a university with like a phone that translates everything the professor says. Like, that's just not.
Yeah.
So I'm just not particularly worried about that.
Is there a fraction of the market? So I'm thinking about translators, for example. Somebody spends like 4 years learning that. What would you say to those people?
Depends on what it is, but there are fractions of the market that are probably going to change quite a bit. Also, in terms of the demand, I agree that some people may have wanted to learn a little bit of a language if they were going to, just visit Germany for 2 days. That maybe now they're just not going to do that because they can just, but at least when you look at Duolingo's users, that's a very small minority of our users. The majority really are hobby or English. So I'm just not
particularly... So you're
not
worried?
I'm not. The other thing about language translation is that simultaneous language translation has been really good this is not an LLM thing. Like, LLMs are good at it too, but Google Translate did not use LLMs, and it was really good 10 years ago. So I just... we've seen the demand to learn a language actually go up as opposed to go down. This is not something that we internally are worried about. Okay. But I understand people say that.
Yeah, I'm also thinking like if you have glasses, for example, that are smart and they translate everything for you automatically. Yeah. I haven't seen the case with headphones. I don't think people really use the AirPods to translate.
No.
And I'm thinking maybe it's glasses that translate the signs. I don't know. It's because when we came to Silicon Valley, I think 2015, we were pitching our company LinguaTrip that does like language travel, language courses. And I think 50%, but to your note, American investors were like, oh, this is not a market.
Look, again,
this is going to go down.
We've had this problem, and the entirety of the company of Duolingo, we're a company based in the United States. When we first pitched Duolingo to investors here, I don't know, however many years ago, the most common thing is like, nobody really wants to learn a language. Math, though. People want to learn math. And that's, I'm sure investors think that because they are good at math and they wanted to learn math. But the reality is there are more people learning languages in the world than there are people learning math.
What was your mindset when the smartest people in the world tell you that? You're like, I don't care.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Guatemala. I could see what it was to have to learn English. Look, it is a huge thing to learn English.
Yeah.
It changes people's lives.
I know. That's my case as well.
It changes people's lives.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Do you have another worry so you have an app, right? But now we're in the era when anyone can vibe code an app for themselves. Yeah. What if I go to, like, I'm learning English, I go to Claude and ask, can you gamify my experience, create me an app that's personalized to me, my interests, my hobbies. Do you worry about that?
A little bit, but not really. I mean, it's funny. Inside the company, we never talk about this. This is, we see Twitter talking about that or investors talking about that, but we internally don't talk about that. Look, ultimately, I think you can ask AI to make you an app, but making a really good app is not that easy. Ultimately, we, for example, have data from hundreds of millions of people about how they learn a language. Every single day, more than 1 billion exercises are answered on Duolingo, and we use that data to teach you better. And so we just have a lot of data on how to keep you motivated. There's probably 2,000-3,000 language learning apps in the world. They've been there, and now with vibe coding, now there will be probably 20,000 rather than 2,000-3,000. But at the moment, we're just not particularly concerned. Mm-hmm. Something may happen. Is
there anything concerned? Because I'm asking a question about it because I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be eliminated. This is going to be we're done," and you're like, "It's fine."
No, I wouldn't say that it's like all is fine. I do think a lot of things are going to change.
What do you think is going to change? What are you preparing for?
I think that user expectations are going to change, and I think we have to stay ahead of it. So a good example is, one of the things we have in the app is conversation practice with AI. When we first put that out there, the cost of it was high for us. So we put it behind the most expensive tier. So you have to pay a lot of subscription to get the conversation practice. At the moment, the cost of that has come down enough that we're going to start giving it to much cheaper tiers, and we are probably going to eventually give it away for free. Mm-hmm. We're doing that because I believe that customers are going to start expecting that. Like, I think there will be apps that start doing this for free, and if we don't do it now, we'll be forced to do it in a few years. So that's the type of stuff we're doing to prepare for this, because I think we just need to stay ahead.
Yeah, so users will expect more. I
think users will expect more. I think users will expect the apps to be a lot more intelligent, which they should.
Yeah.
We're undergoing kind of a platform shift here. And what ends up happening in platform shifts is that the companies who were the winner before the platform shift may or may not remain the winner after that. So I hope that we can do that.
Also talking about AI and workforce, I just talked to Gary Vaynerchuk and I really like what he said. Like, there are a lot of rumors of people and news people firing, like large companies firing people, and they say it's AI. Then Gary said something that struck me, because he said, like, if I fire 100 people, my competitor hires them and they still 10x their output, like, I'm dumb for firing them. Yeah. How do you think about that?
We have never laid anybody off here. We have never done a layoff. Despite what the internet may think. The internet may think that
they misunderstood you. No.
We've never done a layoff here. I think that it is important to continue hiring people, because now, the way I see it is a single employee is just way more productive now than they used to be. So, I get better return on investment by having another employee. So that's how I see it. I mean, my sense, I of course cannot speak about the very specific companies, but my sense is that at least in some of the cases, AI is just an easy
PR reason.
Yeah. I mean, usually what happens is you overhired. And when you overhired, you're like, oh, okay, because of AI, we're going to do that. At least at Duolingo, the way we run the company, I am surprised that there are companies doing that, because I see no reason.
Yeah. I was just at Davos and I was talking to somebody who releases their jobs report. Mm-hmm. All the layoffs are structural, like overhired during COVID. So it's not really...
A lot of companies overhired during COVID. And I understand that. And then, if you overhired, you probably don't need these people. But, blaming AI is an easy scapegoat.
It is. What he just said actually worries me the most. Everyone's talking about, like, AI replacing jobs and big companies firing people. This is not what's happening here, right? He's actually hiring people, but he's hiring those who know AI.
Same for me, where we're just hiring a social media manager. And the questions I was asking them during the interview, how are you going to automate this? How are you going to use AI in this process? Founders are looking for people who utilize AI in their work. And this is actually what my newsletter is about. It's called Future Proof. And every week I share what we learned with AI. Like my PR person just vibe coded the whole website with all the transcripts from this podcast. And we share things like that in the newsletter. So first of all, subscribe to this channel. And second, subscribe to the newsletter. Can we talk about the stock price? Because when I was preparing for this, I saw the 82% collapse of the stock. Yeah. But what I really want to talk about, because you explained that to your shareholders, can you walk me through your mindset as a founder when you make such decisions who make your users happy, but they don't make your investors happy?
Well, the decision was made by AI, so I'm kidding. That is a joke. That is not what happened. I made that decision. Look, we made a conscious shift in how we run the company. I made a conscious shift, and certainly the executive team was behind me. But we got to a point where, if you look at over the last 5 years, we've grown a lot. We became a public company in 2021. We have grown our user base by more, like our active users by more than 5x since then. So we've grown a lot. We've also grown our revenue by a similar amount, etc. We've grown a lot. But two things happened. One is that throughout 2025, we've been still growing, but we were growing slower than we were growing in previous years. So that's one thing that happened. Like our user base was growing slower than in previous years. The second thing that happened is because of AI, I really do believe that education is going to change quite a bit. And we are a really, important player in the education category. And I want to be in a situation where we can lead some of that change through AI. So the combination of I want to lead through that change in AI and our user growth slowing down told me we need to do something important, change how we operate so that we continue grabbing as many users as possible. Now that comes with a cost, which is we are not going to be monetizing our user base as much as we were before. And investors don't love that. Yeah. But we knew, when we made this decision, we talked to, of course, all internally, our finance team, everybody agreed this is going to decrease our stock price.
Yeah. Did you expect that number, like 82%?
I didn't know exactly what to expect, honestly, but I knew that it was going to be a lot.
Yeah.
So we knew that. But we made the decision consciously because we think that if we continued operating the way we were operating, we probably could have continued growing a little bit, etc. But at some point, it was going to be capped. Whereas I think if we really try to get a much larger user base, we're going to be a much larger company in the long term. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I'm operating this company. I'm hoping that this is my last job. And this is the last thing that I do. And I have many more years of energy left.
And you never regretted the decision?
Oh, no.
That is amazing. Because as a founder, like again, hearing from the market what they think about your decision is tough.
They don't like it.
It's tough. Wow.
I know, I agree. I agree. Look, it's not that it hasn't been tough. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't regret the decision because I believe that it is the right decision. But it's been tough. I really still am very convinced this is the right decision.
Do you feel like, because you're founder of a publicly traded company, does your mood depend on your stock price?
It used to.
Yeah.
When we first went public, it used to. I learned to stop looking, like at least every day. I mean, it's not that It's not that I don't know the ballpark, but I don't look every day. It used to be the case. The first year or so, it'd be like it went up by $1, it went down by $1. Now,
like you're used to it?
Because
as a creator, my self-worth depends on how my last video is performing, which is not right, which is not good for my mental health. I'm learning how to not look at it.
Well, I will tell you this. The same is true for me, but not with our stock price. It's with daily active users.
So you still have the same
I just moved
metric.
it to daily active users. So
but they've been growing,
every morning, yes, it's growing and everything. But every morning, our daily active user report for the previous day comes at 5 a.m. exactly. I wake up very early. Every morning at 5:01 a.m., my mood gets set. It's not good.
Do you think you should adjust it for
Yeah, it's not good mentally, but hey, I prefer this than the stock price, though.
Yeah.
This makes more sense, at least.
This is something you can control.
This is something I can control,
price.
and it's an actual measure of the health of this company. The stock price, some of it is, over the long term, it is a good measure of the health of this company. But on a day-to-day basis, there used to be days that the stock price went down because, like, oil prices changed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah. I
how
can't
is that
control
related to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other mental hacks? Because I'm talking to you again. You're not really worried about AI. You learned how to make stock price not control your mood. Do you have any mental life hacks that you developed as a founder during these years? What helps you? What do you think? What do you do when something goes bad? Do you go on walks to create ideas?
I mean, don't get me wrong. When something goes bad, it gets to me. It definitely gets to me. I try to really think about the long term. One of the things that has helped me the most is really thinking about this. This is not just about the company. This is in general. And of course, I didn't invent this. This is, a lot of people say this. Thinking about anything. Will this matter in 6 months? The vast majority of things will not matter in 6 months. The vast majority of things. So sometimes I get really upset and I think about it. Will this matter in 6 months? Some things will, but the vast majority of things will not matter in 6 months. And that makes me feel a lot better because I think, okay, I'm upset for no reason because this is going to fizzle out.
What about other things like marketing or content? Do you think it matters for a founder?
Depending on what type of company you're doing. Certainly if you're doing a consumer company, marketing is going to end up mattering.
One of the most important things.
It's going to end up mattering a lot. I mean, I love our marketing team. They are excellent. They've done some really creative things over the years and have helped us grow a lot. I don't know of any hacks. I mean, ultimately, you need to figure out how to get the word out for your product. I will say, I have seen many people try to cover a bad product with good marketing, and that can only get you so far. The reality is, if you want to really succeed, your product has to be good.
Yeah.
I think good product, bad marketing is not very good, but bad product, good marketing is worse.
Do you have time set for yourself every week when you play with the new AI tools? Or you just discover on the go?
No, I don't know if I have time that I've set for myself like that. But I mean, basically what happens is I talk to some of the employees. I know who in the company is at the forefront. And I talk to them and then they tell me, oh, you should try that. You should try that. And then I go, I try it.
And for someone who's employed at a company and they want to hear advice from a founder whose company is using AI, what would you say to them? How do they start implementing AI in their job?
Again, it depends a lot on their job. A lot of different tools for a lot of different things. It's not that hard to find the right tool for your job and then try to use it and see if you can automate parts of your job with it. I mean, a lot of our employees have automated parts of their job, not the whole thing, but parts of their job.
I like that they're doing this by themselves. That actually says a lot about the way you hire.
Yeah, people are doing this by themselves.
And when you're doing interviews now, are you asking about
We do ask. We want people here is to be open to it. I mean, we really are, you do see the people who are just a lot more open to using AI versus the people who are like, nah. We want people who are more open. I mean, there's a good thing that somebody said that I pretty much believe. AI is not going to take your job. Somebody using AI is going to take your job. And I believe that is mostly true.
It's 10x more productive.
This is way more
with
productive.
AI tools. Yeah. Do you believe that in 10 years we'll have millions of AI agents in our companies?
Probably. I mean, it's what I've learned in especially the last few years, is that predicting the future has gotten much harder because of AI. If you talked to me 10 years ago, I sort of could have told you what the next year was going to look like or what the next 3 years were going to look like. It's probably we're going to have a new version of the iPhone. It's going to have a better screen. It's like, it was just not that hard to predict. Yeah, it was kind of boring. It's not that hard to predict. Whereas now, I'm very bad at predicting what's going to happen.
But you're not nervous.
I am nervous not for the immediate term and not necessarily for this company, but I am nervous about, I do believe that some shift is going to happen. And I'm nervous in that I just don't know what that's going to be. I mean, if you listen to different founders, everybody's telling you things that are pretty self-serving. Like, if you work in a company that makes AI for lawyers, they'll tell you lawyers are going to disappear. Like everybody's saying all these self-serving things. I don't know what they are, but I do think something's going to change and I'm nervous because I don't know what that is.
Nobody knows.
Nobody does.
Go with the flow.
Nobody does. And I think the best thing you can do is try to adapt as fast as possible. And by the way, I am glad that I'm not having to choose a college career right now because I have no idea what I would choose.
Yeah, it's even tougher now.
Yeah, I have no idea what I would choose.
I have a blitz for you. So I'm going to name 5 professions and you're going to make some predictions what you think.
Oh man, predictions. I'm very bad at that.
Well, like what your gut tells you. Gone in 5 years, gone in 10 years, or not going anywhere. Okay. Let's try. Social media manager.
You mean for like a company?
Yeah, like coming up with scripts and...
I don't think that's going anywhere. That's what I think. I don't.
translator?
I think there will be gone is a hard term, because I think there will still be cases where we're going to want real human translation, but there will be fewer and fewer. But I do think that for certain situations, we're going to want that.
Like
We're
a
gonna want that.
premium
Yes,
service.
it's going to turn into very premium.
Yeah.
But for most, everyday uses, it's going to go away.
Okay. Teacher.
Oh, not going away. I mean,
Are we going to have more language teachers, you think?
teachers serve a lot of things, and I cannot imagine they're going to go away. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. I mean, I'm a former teacher. I used to be a professor. I think AI is going to be great at teaching certain parts, certainly giving you a lot of repetition, maybe even adapting to what you learn. But ultimately, teachers are great at putting things into context. They're also really great at making people want to do something. They're very inspiring. When I was growing up, I wanted to be like my teachers. And it's kind of hard to want to be like an AI. Like I don't really want to be like an AI, but a teacher, they're very inspiring. They put things into context. I mean, at the moment, I'm pretty certain that if you have a really great teacher, that is better than not having a teacher. Again, not all teachers are equally good, et cetera, et cetera. But by the way, today, computers are not as good at teaching as a really great teacher. That has not yet happened. I think it may start getting to the point where in certain aspects, they're about as good. But I think having a teacher will always be better than not.
I agree.
That's what I think. So I don't believe that it's going anywhere.
We're going to learn with AI, like do some stuff, but we still need someone human to reply to.
This is what I think. Yeah. It's incredibly hard to keep people motivated, and teachers have ways to get people motivated to do certain things. And just, they start noticing things like, oh, that student feels left out. I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah.
This is pretty hard to do with AI. So I just can't imagine this is going to go away. But
Makes
could
sense.
be wrong.
Strategist. I don't know if you tried AI for strategy, but for me,
it's good.
So good. Sometimes it notices things I wouldn't even think about. Like it was like, you're not working on geo for your podcast. I'm like, oh shoot, yes, I am not. I'm not appearing in any searches.
I recently asked the Slack has a Slack bot and sees all my conversations. And I asked it to give me what are my areas for improvement. And it was excellent.
That's a very good prompt.
It told me exactly what I like. It basically told me exactly what my 360 told me, but in a much more concise way. And certain things is really excellent. Strategy, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I would say there's probably still some. The thing about AI is that it's really good at kind of known things. I still think that there's going to be some amount of human ingenuity necessary for certain types of strategy. So again, it may be that it just becomes a very premium thing.
Okay, project manager.
Oh, no, I don't think that's going to go away. In my experience, project managers, if you need multiple people working on something, really good project managers have really good EQ and end up figuring out why a project is not working. And a lot of times the project is not working because that person doesn't get along with that person. Like stuff like that. I think that's going to be hard. Again, there's parts of the process that can be automated, but in general, I can't imagine that the AI is going to be really good at, sitting two people there and being like, you two are not getting along. You need to start getting along. That seems hard.
So as someone who's running a company, do you think there are any positions that are going away in the nearest future, or are they just going to be transformed?
I think most of it is going to be transformed. And what I think will happen is that some companies, particularly companies that are not growing a lot, are going to find that they can do the same with fewer people. So it may not be very specific professions, but it will be like, do we need 100 people doing customer service, or can we do so with only 10? I think that will happen.
Yeah.
The entire profession going away is kind of hard. I mean, even customer service, where a lot of people say like, customer service is going to go away. You probably still need a couple of humans
need to
there.
orchestrate
You probably still need some people to orchestrate it. So I do think that you'll find some companies that will need fewer people over time.
Yeah. I totally feel that we wanted to hire someone who would do my scripting for Instagram, but then I'm like, okay, I'll just try Claude. And then I created a Claude project and it was so good. I'm like, okay, I don't need to hire anyone. As social media manager can just do that now.
Yeah.
So it's basically doing more with less people, Would you want to start again in 2026? If you could, like if you could go back to how old you were when you started?
I probably would start again, but if you ask me to choose between whether I want to start today or 15 years ago, I'm very happy we started 15 years ago. If you ask me, yeah, because we now got to this point where, with Duolingo, we have a lot of money because we're profitable. We have more than $1 billion in the bank. We have a large user base. We have a large install base. So I feel pretty good about the situation that we're in. Whereas if we were to start today, boy, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty hard to start today, I think. I mean, I would do it, but
What would you start? Same thing?
If Duolingo didn't exist, yeah. I mean, given that Duolingo exists, I don't know if I would start that.
Would it be languages or something else? Or like teaching people AI or chess?
No, I would start with languages. Interestingly, I am personally not a major language learning nerd. I'm not. Neither is my co-founder, Severin. What is interesting is that in retrospect, I'm very happy we started with languages. I don't know of another subject, even though we've done a lot of research, I don't know of another subject that gets learned as much. If you look, there's about 2 billion people in the world learning languages. That's the number. There's any other subject is less. I mean,
not even math?
Math is 1 billion.
Oh,
1 billion
really?
people. Math is basically, the number of people learning math in the world is highly, highly correlated, like identical almost, as the number of people in the world that are in K-12 education. There's about 1 billion. Nobody is learning math.
So nobody's learning math for pleasure,
no,
as a hobby.
I mean, I'm sure there are, but this is a tiny fraction of the population. So math has about 1 billion. Anything, chess is like 100 million, something like that. Any subject, K-12 science is a few 100 million. Programming is like 20 million.
And when it comes to spending money,
So language is 60 billion. It depends on who's spending the money.
Yeah.
Governments are spending a ton teaching math, but it's governments. And that's hard. The money is hard to get to because the governments are, so there's probably more spend on math, but it's because it's the government.
And what about consumers? It's still the language?
I think so. By the way, of those 2 billion people that are learning language, about 1.8 billion are learning English.
Yeah.
So English is just really big.
It's crazy. I didn't realize that. Because I thought it would be like math or now AI, maybe software engineering.
You and I live in a bubble.
We do.
We live in a bubble.
That's true.
Yes,
because we got out of their cultures into this bubble, and now we're here and we forget.
I mean, maybe programming right now with AI coding, who knows what's going to happen. But a few years ago, whenever we would meet investors, they would be like, the thing everybody wants to learn is coding.
Yeah.
It's about 20 million people in the world that were learning coding. That's it. That's it.
Maybe they're willing to pay more. Like if you want to take a programming course, you probably pay like $1,000, $2,000 because you're going to get a job.
Yes.
With language, it's a long, long journey.
Yes, 100%. Now, if we're an app, this is one of the things, one of the reasons we never did programming. We as an app cannot charge $10,000. It's an app.
Yeah.
Like we charge $6 a month. That is how much we charge. Maybe we could charge $20 a month. We can't charge 10,000. So this is why we go for things that have hundreds of millions of people learning them, because we need to be a larger business. And so these things that require people paying.
Like service business.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. Thank you so much. Thank you for being positive in 2026. That's really rare.
Okay. Well, I'm positive.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm nervous, but it's no use to be thinking like the world's going to end.
Going outside Silicon Valley, you see how I was expecting you to say, I use OpenClaw to automate all the reports. I'm not writing my emails. Like, you're not saying that.
No.
Same Gary Vaynerchuk. I was expecting him to do like, my content is full automation. But he said, I just hired 2 copywriters.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, New York is very different from Silicon Valley.
It is.
And it's very refreshing. And for everyone who's watching, it's a great idea to start a business like helping people learn AI. Outside
I think
Silicon
so.
Valley.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I mentioned Gary Vee several times throughout this episode. I actually filmed a podcast with him on the same trip when I filmed Lewis. He's thinking positively about everything that's happening right now. So if you're someone who wants to start a business now, but if you're afraid that a bigger company is going to take over, watch that episode. It's going to give you a lot of enthusiasm about starting in 2026.